Hey guys, top of the morning to you. Richard Scantlin from Remount Horsemanship out here in Siler City. I want to talk to you today about backing your horse up straight. A lot of horses don't back up straight. And it seems like the horses that don't back up straight, it's because they're pushing off of their forehand and they're not pulling themselves backwards off of their hind end. And this can be from a few things. One, just imbalances, strength issues. This guy, his right hind is a little bit weaker than his left hind. So it makes sense that he's not going to pull me straight back. But one thing that I do, well, there's a few things that I do. One thing, his pattern is to kick his hips out to the right. And I was giving his owner a lesson yesterday, and I figured I'd make a little video about it today. If I know a horse is going to kick his hips out, say to the right, then yes, I can slide my right leg back and I can kind of block those hips. But it seems to make better sense to me, and for some horses, that if I get control of the horse's shoulders and straighten them out in the back up using their shoulders, that it can make more sense to them. So before I even start backing up, and since I am going to be talking to the shoulders, one thing I want to make sure of is that I can control my horse's shoulders. And I'm not looking for a specific pivot or anything. I'm just looking for me to take my right leg off my horse, maybe lay my bridle rein on his neck, on the left side of his neck, and I want to be able to make sure that I can turn my horse's shoulders. And I want to be able to do that both ways. So I'm going to open up my left leg, put my right bridle rein on this horse's neck, kind of look where I'm going, and I just want to make sure that I can have, you know, a little bit of shoulder control. Not perfect, not very fluid and balanced yet, but he's still moving his shoulders more than his hind end, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. When I'm asking for the backup, and his hips go to the right, I'm going to move his shoulders to the right. I'm going to say, get those shoulders in line with your hips and start to engage those hips and start to pull yourself backwards using your hips. So I'm going to focus up, kind of sit deep in my seat, ask this horse for a backup. There goes his hips. So I'm going to bring his shoulders to the right. And I'm going to do that pretty firmly. He blew out right there, just kind of gave me a good little blow. I'm going to do that kind of firmly to say, hey, when you're backing up, I want you to stay between my legs and between my reins. So anytime you're not, I'm going to say, hey, kind of correct him, get straight, and then I'll start that back up again. That's much better backup that time. So the other way that I'm going to help cause a horse to back up straight is I'm going to add some life into my body. I'm going to add some oomph into my body. I want a nice marching backup. When I'm asking a horse to kind of march back up and give me some life in his feet moving backwards, then that can really help a horse kind of get their feet figured out on their own. So I'm going to ask for my backup, and I'm going to add some life in my body. There's his shoulders right. Give me some life, give me some life. There he goes. It's kind of like when you're shooting a bow and an arrow. If you shoot a bow and you pull that bowstring back as far as you can and you let it go, then that arrow is going to shoot straight and true every single time. But if you pull that bowstring just back a little bit and let it go, that arrow is just going to kind of fizzle out onto the ground and be not very efficient. So if I can add some marching, some life into this horse's feet, then that's going to help cause him be much straighter, like that. The other thing that I might do when I'm working with a horse on a crooked backup is I might ask for that marching backup. Okay, get your feet straight, get your body straight. Oh, now I got to bring the shoulders to the left. Back up, life in my body, and then I'll get out of there. And then I'll stop him. And I'll say, hey, give me a marching backup. Life in my body, life in his body, and then, hey, why don't you get out of there? So I can do little transitions like that. Back up straight, leave straight, and that's going to prepare him, cause him to prepare himself for the transitions. So yes, sometimes correcting the hips can certainly help you on the backup. And if I have a horse that has a bad habit of kicking the hips out, you know, I'll prepare myself for the backup by sliding a leg back and saying, hey, kick those hips over where they need to be. But the majority of the time, I'm going to say, hey, move those shoulders over, get those shoulders in line with your hips, and start backing up straight so that you're pulling from the hind end as opposed to pushing from the front end. Something that can also, if you're at this stage of your horse development, if you practice a lot of rollbacks, if you practice a lot of spins, that can kind of get a horse assuming pretty quick that means stop, roll back, stop, back up, roll back, stop, spin. So if I have a horse that's kind of thinking roll backs, I rode a horse in a clinic just this past weekend, and as soon as I stopped that horse was thinking roll back. So I would stop the horse, and then I wouldn't let them do the roll back. I would hold them in a nice straight back up, and then once they were soft and backing up straight, then I would ask for the roll back. So those are some tips on to help you with helping get your horse's hips and shoulders aligned and for a nice straight backup. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. Y'all take care.